It's Oklahoma for four-star defensive lineman Brian Harris out of Mandarin High School in Jacksonville, Florida. Chooses the Sooners today over offers from Michigan, Penn State, South Carolina, Alabama, and a litany of other Power Four programs. And now, here on the OUinsider.com YouTube channel to discuss it all is Brian Harris himself. Brian, I'll open the floor to you, man. I know you've only been up to Oklahoma once, but what did the trick for you? What made Oklahoma the right call for a guy like you?
Having my family with me on that trip means a lot for me. They get my perspective, and I can see how my family feels about it. And hearing my mom say like, "Man, I could see myself living here. I could see you going here," and that's another big thing for me is to see if my mom feels that same energy I feel. Because like I've gone to so many different schools. I've gone to everywhere down from Miami all the way to Minnesota. Like I've gone everywhere, and I haven't ever had an experience in a place like Oklahoma. Oklahoma is something different, and I believe in what they're building. I believe in the program. So
Now, let's rewind to the visit. March 8th, you're up there for what they call the Future Freaks weekend.
right.
Big unofficial visit weekend in the month of March. They do it every single year. What stood out to you about your time on campus such that you felt, even after that one trip, okay, I could see myself not only playing college football here, but living here, being around these people for 4 whole years?
Exactly. I would say, just as soon as I stepped foot on, not even on campus, just in Norman, I got there, we had sat down and ate some dinner. We had ate dinner with all the defensive linemen and then all the defensive coaches and whatnot. And I got to spend a good 2 to 3 hours with Jaden Jackson. That's the first time I ever met him in person. I do all my research on all the guys that I come in contact with, and Jaden Jackson and David Stone were a staple for me. I was big on David just because he came out of Florida, came out of IMG, and I'm just like someone like me. I'm looking at guys like him and trying to get better and try to watch their film and keep things out of their program. And so when I come there and I see Jaden Jackson and David Stone for the first time, and I'm hearing the way they're talking, they're normal people, and it's a real like family oriented program for sure. Like as soon as I step on campus, they showed me nothing but love. And the biggest thing for me about Oklahoma is just like the players, not only the coaches, but the players. They sell it more than the coaches, and it's not like that's a bad thing. It's a great thing for me because the coaches are going to tell you everything you want to hear, everything like the glitz and glamours, the schools, the national championship, everything. They're going to tell you everything good about school. But when you talk to the players, players are going to give you the nitty gritty, what's bad, what's great, what's all right. They're going to give you everything, and that's the big thing for me is I got to spend quality time with the players that are already there.
Now, Brent Venables obviously entering his fourth season as Oklahoma's head coach. Todd Bates has been with him every step of the way. They were at Clemson together. They're at Oklahoma together now. What have those two impressed upon you throughout the recruitment or throughout the process of your recruitment? And what's kind of been the crux of their message to you throughout?
So my first time on campus and in the program, I got there, met Coach Bates, and for the first time, it just felt home, a real homey vibe. I give Coach Bates a big old hug, and I didn't realize how big he was going to be, like how tall he was, and I gave him a big old hug. It was real infectious. Everything about Coach Bates and Coach Venables' personality is a very infectious thing. And I think about it like this: if I gotta wake up and early in the morning, I gotta get coached by somebody, and they're waking up with like Coach Venables is one of the most infectious personalities I've ever seen in my life. Like he comes in with that motor, that wantingness, that will. Like it's something different, and it makes me want to work harder. Honestly, I feel like if I woke up every day and I had that type of personality in front of my face, you have no choice and you have no other option to work as hard as he's working. So
When push came to shove, how much did the opportunity to play in the SEC matter to you?
it's the biggest thing for me. I remember sitting in my kitchen and I'm sitting there. My mom's from Rio, so she doesn't know a lot about like football and what conferences is and whatnot. So I'm sitting there explaining it to her, and I'm like, "This is Alabama. Alabama's in the SEC. You got Oklahoma in the SEC now. All these SEC things." I'm like, "Man, I don't know. My expectations is not so high in the SEC. Of course, I want to play in the biggest conference, and I want to play against the best competition I can. So that's why I made the decision to come to the SEC school. My mom just keeps telling me like, you're going to get those offers. That's what you're going to play at the biggest stage you can, and that's huge for me because I don't want to take any shortcuts. I want to be at the biggest stage, play with the biggest players, and the biggest best comp I can have. Because if I don't put myself in the best ability, then that transition to that next level isn't going to be as smooth. And that's my outlook at it.
When was the moment you knew it was Oklahoma? Can you recall a specific moment where it clicked for you that this is definitely the place for me? I got to make this decision for real. Like it's time to shut it down.
And you're going to think it's cliche, but it was that day I had visited. Driving back, we drove all the way from, so we had did a visit to Louisville, and then we drove from Louisville to Oklahoma, and then Oklahoma back to Jacksonville. So we drove the whole way. It was a big huge road trip. So after every visit we had, we're sitting there for hours on end talking about what happened, right? So on that trip back, and I'm just sitting there like thinking about it over and over and over again, just running through my head. I'm like, yeah, it took long. It just wasn't. It wasn't even like it's apples and oranges when it comes to comparison with the feeling you get from Oklahoma. I could recall a time. I was sitting down. Um, I was sitting down in that big huge weight room that they have, like the nice facility they have, and the players are giving speeches on their life and whatnot, and I'm just sitting back like I get to play with these players at least a year and get mentored by these players like David Stone and Jaden Jackson, like those guys. I want to be mentored by the best guys, and just seeing that, it just clicked for me.
Now, there's another big time defensive lineman from down there in the Jacksonville area. I believe he was with you at Oklahoma that day for the
I
Future
think he
Freaks
was.
visit. Yeah. So Asher Giotta, like, how much of a relationship is there between you two? And obviously, he's a guy that it's early in the process for him, but he's very high on Oklahoma as well.
Right. So me and Asher, I've known Asher for since eighth grade. Like me and Asher go way back, right? So I'm sitting there with Asher, and he's looking at me, and we're just smiling the whole time because he knows what I'm thinking. Asher knew that I was committing to Oklahoma before like everybody else did, other than my family. Like Asher knew immediately. So it was a fun experience. I get this experience that something like that with my friend. Like it's me and Asher has such a good like vibe with each other, and we just click off each other, and that's why I don't even have to say anything. Like he'll be like they'll see the same thing, and I'll just give him that look like he already knows. Like he's a dog, man, and I really do think that his future is so bright, and I just can't wait to see where he lands at. Hopefully, I get to recruit him because I'm a firm believer that good players want to play with good players, and I'm gonna do my best to recruit the best players.
So to that point, it's now just 2 weeks until you're going to be back in Norman for your official visit, putting your recruiter hat on, as it were.
Right.
What's your goal when you show up? And I think there's in the neighborhood of 20 uncommitted official visitors that are supposed to be in town that weekend in Norman. What's going to be your priority and your message to those guys?
So I wanna make sure they understand the reason why I picked it in the first place. Because I feel like every time that a recruiter comes in and they come in and they're like, oh, like what's the reason why you chose here? Like I'm gonna make sure that and instill to them what's the reason why this is just sets Oklahoma apart from everywhere else. And I feel like me being there, I feel like I don't even need to say much. Like they're gonna see it and they're gonna understand it, and I feel like it's gonna click for them too. And my biggest thing, I'm not only going to go to Oklahoma, their OV on that six. I'm definitely going to come out way more times because I know a couple high end guys that are coming in and for their OVs, and I want to spend some time with them and put my recruiter hat on and support them too. So.
It's really cool to hear, man. Senior year coming up. Obviously, you've played a lot of defensive end at the high school level. You're a guy that probably projects more to defensive tackle at the collegiate level. But what do you feel like is left to hone in your game over the course of the next 6, 7 months before you step on campus to get you ready to see the field immediately at Oklahoma?
I feel like my biggest thing is that is beneficial for me is that I have a really good get off, but I feel like everything can be sharpened. I feel like everything is dull in my tank. I feel like I need to sharpen up every little aspect I can because if I don't, then going in, and that it's not going to be a smooth transition like I want it to be. So that's my biggest thing is just sharpening fundamentals. That's the biggest thing.
Got you. Man, obviously, as you kind of come to the end of this process, a bunch of big name schools came after you. They may still hit your phone line throughout the process, but do you kind of see this as the ultimate end of the road, like done for good with this commitment to Oklahoma?
I'm so blessed to be in this position, and it's not even a question for me. I already know that this is my end game. So I told Coach Bates, told Coach Venables, I'm just sitting back and watching the coaches call me, and they're like, "Man, we need to get you out here for the OV. We need to get. I know you're committing on the 23rd, but you need to get out here for the OV." I'm like, "Man, listen, this is home, man, and I don't see myself going anywhere else." So.
That's fantastic. So Coach Bates came down to see you about a week and a half ago for his evaluation period visit. Did he already know? Had you already told him at that time that you were coming to Oklahoma?
Right. No, I committed probably I silently committed about 2 weeks ago. Maybe even three. It's been a minute. I've I gotta keep it under wraps and whatnot and
Hmm.
just play the game and see out hear out other recruiters and whatnot. But I still feel like that's the biggest thing is it's a weird process going through it with the recruiters and whatnot and knowing where your home is. Yeah, I just feel like that's why I wanted to shut it down so fast. Is that once God tells you where you want to go, there's nowhere else you want to be. So
What gets you most excited about being a Sooner? If you had to pick one thing, what gets you the most stoked?
I just feel like that's the first time stepping on the field. Like first time I'm stepping on the field, I just can't wait. Like I know my head is just gonna blow up. I feel like I'm gonna go through that tunnel and look up and see all these Sooner fans saying "Boomer Sooner," and it's just gonna be amazing. And I get to look up in the crowd and see my parents in there. It's gonna be an amazing experience. Being able to get coached by the best of the best, like Coach Bates and Coach Venables, having a defensive mindset like Coach Venables is also very exciting for me. Knowing that everywhere that Coach V has went, he has won. There's nowhere he has been he hasn't won, and that's another big thing for me.
Sooner fans, he's your newest commit, four-star defensive lineman Brian Harris out of Jacksonville, Florida. Commitment number 7 for Oklahoma in the 2026 cycle. And the third on the defensive side of the ball. They've all come in the last 2 weeks. Nico Jandro, Ja'Cory Smith, and now Brian Harris. Brian, thanks so much for making time. Really appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I appreciate being here. Thank you.